Good morning, everybody. I'm so thankful for your invitation to be a speaker at your conference. I really like Ireland very, very much, all that I've seen in these 2 days. I'm from the city of Utrecht in the Netherlands, and I hope to tell you something about how we go about adding nature in our densifying city. Let's see if it happens. Yes. First of all, I will give you a short introduction to the city of Utrecht, just to take you along through my city, what's happening there, and how we do things in the Netherlands. Then I will explain a little bit about the exponential leap in greening our city we are working on. And I also will explain a bit how we how do you say this? How we add green in our urban development strategy for the coming years. And of course, since this is a biodiversity conference, I also want to tell you something about the nice biodiversity examples we have in the city of Utrecht. I hope to give you some inspiration to take home, and I hope to get some inspiration from you as well. So do speak to me if you have some interesting projects, because I love to hear them, and if there's some way we can work together, I'm always open for suggestions. Okay, so the city of Utrecht is in the heart of the Netherlands. It's really a mobility hub in the Netherlands, and it's the 4th largest city of the Netherlands. We're famous for our Dom Tower, and just last year we reopened our city canal. In the 70s we made a nice highway for cars and got rid of the water, but we thought it was a mistake, so we ended up making it a canal again. And last year we succeeded, so we're very happy that we made it. And it's a very nice green area now, and you can almost walk around the whole city canal. Just a little bit of densification there for a small part, but the rest of it is all green. In the city of Utrecht, we're also building a new housing district the size of a small city. It's called the Leidse Rijn district. We made also a very successful park there, Maxima Park, which also won a Green Flag Award for being a very good park, so we're very proud of that. So if you ever visit Utrecht, don't hesitate to contact me for some excursion details, because I have plenty of them. In Utrecht, we have a mission. We want to make healthy urban living possible for all our citizens. This didn't come from one day to another. We quite invested in it for some time. It started with monitoring, and you can see on the yellow and blue image the average, how do you call it? Lifespan, or life expectancy of our citizens. And on the top you can see the district of Overvecht, and the life expectancy there is 60 years. And just below it you see the district of Noordoost, and the life expectancy there is 72 years. So that's a gap of 12 years. That's enormous, considering that those districts are near each other, close to each other. So this was one of the realizations for us to make our city better for everyone. The district of Noordoost is the area where we have more wealthy people living. The district of Overvecht is more socially interactive community. So by doing this and making health a real big issue in our planning, we also came to the conclusion that green is essential for healthy living for all our citizens. So it's not only the human health, but also the mental health, the benefits green can have for air quality and for recreational uses. So this is why we also have a green infrastructure plan. This is the old one. because I'm going to tell you about the new one in a few slides. We're making a new spatial plan for 2040. We're doing this because we are on a mission to add 40,000 residents to our city. And for a city of 350,000, that's quite a lot. And we didn't want only to add those residents. We now also understand that with adding residents, you also need to add sporting facilities, schools, roads, offices or workplaces. You also, because we want to be a climate neutral city, also need to make room for energy production. So with the red bar of 40,000 residents also came the other colors of all the additions this would require in our city. Green is one of them. And we calculated for these 40,000 residents that we needed to add 440 hectares of green in our city. And that's a lot. That's really a lot. But this was good because it opened up the eyes of our city council that by just adding 40,000 residents, the equation wouldn't be that simple. It really meant a lot for the rest of our city. So now we're trying to complete this mission impossible with different ways of greening our city. One of the ways we want to add these residents is by changing the form of mobility in our city. So we're quite car dependent still, but we're transforming to a more public transport mobility, and also we want to prioritize slow mobility. So biking, which the Netherlands of course is famous for, but also walking, making small green routes available from your house. COVID, of course, showed a lot of people where they lived and how little green there was in their surrounding areas. So the ambition is to make a 10-minute city. So within these 10 minutes, you should find everything you need. A supermarket, a shopping center, the schools, but also your sporting facilities and your recreational area or nature area, or at least an urban park. So this is our aim. It's quite ambitious, but it also means for green that we have high ambitions. And that's the green circle. Does it look green to you? Yes? No? Yes? Okay, then it looks different up here. Next slide. So the new transition is that for our spatial plan, the one we had 6 years before, it only had red areas where we were investing and prioritizing housing areas. But now we also have green areas where we are prioritizing green in our city. So this is a laser, yes. This area is made greener because of the people who are living there. They get a lot of new residents near this place, but the recreational areas for these people are very difficult to reach because this recreational area is not yet functioning. It's a future recreational area. So they need more green in their city to be able to recreate, mentally relax and everything. So this is new compared to our former spatial plan. So I told you a bit about the expansional leap in greening our city. I hope the reason why is evident, but I will come to that in the next slide. We now are still doing the greening of our city in a traditional way. So we have a greening plan, we connect parks with green infrastructure, we make it nice and biodiversity rich, hopefully. But with the budgets we now have, we would end up in 2040 at the end of the green line. So, that will be over here. So that's nowhere near the 440 hectares we need. So we really need to change our way of greening our city. And the way we are doing this is by 5 levels. Oh no, this is first why we are doing it. It's not only that we as urban ecologists or green advisors would like to green our city, it's also our residents who speak out for greening our city or a green future. They say that they want to green their garden in 20 years. They say that they prefer a green street above parking spaces in their street. And they say that green should structure the city instead of mobility. I would like some water. Sorry. So, we changed from having green as an ornament to our city to green as being fundamental to our city. And this is the reason why. They're all ecosystem services. How many in this room know what ecosystem services green in your city develop? Only one person? No, hands up. Ecosystem services that green delivers in your city? Okay, I won't spend too much time, but a little I will. Of course, it helps with drinking water. It helps with retention of water. It will purify your air quality. It will help you save biodiversity. It will mentally relax your citizens. It will give them a way to make small routes and connect to other people in your city. The parks are usually the places where high-income and low-income people meet together, where the children play in the playground. So it's also very relevant for the social network in your city. Well, there's a whole circle of ecosystem services. It provides a lot of ecosystem services which are fundamental. Here we connected them to the Sustainable Development Goals. I think the presentation will be spread after this conference, so you can take a closer look at it afterwards. So, we're changing to an exponential greening leap in our city, and this is how we go about it. We have 5 different levels of greening in our city, which we want to have in 2040. The first level is your house needs to have somewhere, some sites on green. So this can be a tree, this can be a park, this can be a green facade of your neighbor or a green roof just a bit further away. But just the sight of green makes already that you are feeling more healthy, relaxed, and it's researched also in hospitals that people who have green outview, not sure if it's English, from their sick bed, they are they're better soon? No, this is the one way around. They are better sooner than people who just look at bricks or other things. So the first layer is the house. The second layer is that within a 5-minute walk from your house, you should have a small district park to relax, for your children to play, or just to clear your mind. The third layer are the urban parks. So within a 10-minute walk, you have a big green area, maybe with an educational farm for your children, with a big resting area or picnic area or football area, and also, of course, a lot of biodiversity. That's what I want. So the fourth layer is the green fingers. We have a lot of natural areas around the city. We want to bring this closer to our citizens by adding green fingers in our city, which will help nature get closer to the inner city. And of course, the fifth layer is the recreational and natural areas around our city. So with these 5 layers, we try to get green in our city at different levels, beneficial to everyone. And I don't know if it's the same in Ireland, but in Utrecht or in the Netherlands, we have a lot of norms. Norms for how broad a pavement should be. Biking lane should be 4 meters wide, and there should be the streets for the buses should be, I don't know, 6 meters wide, stuff like that. For green, we didn't have any norms. And that would make that in the competition for space, we always lost. So we're changing this now. We made our own norms. And we aim to have 75 square meter of green for every household in our city. So as we're adding more households, we need to rise up the level of green in our city as well. But not only, or to prevent that this will happen only in the wealthy areas, we also said we want 40% of green in each and every neighborhood of our city. So we want to spread it evenly across our city to make sure that all people benefit from the green we're adding. And we also added a maximum distance for people to find green near their house. And that's a real distance. It's not as the crow flies. For instance, if you have very busy roads, you have to cross to get near to get to your next park. Then this will be taken into the distance, and this might mean that we need to add more pedestrian crossing sites or something like that. But it will ensure that we look at our city from a different perspective. And with these norms, we hope to compete with all the other norms we have in our city, so the parking norm, the pavement norm. Do you have a lot of norms in Ireland? Yes, no? Keep it that way. Make them for green and don't use them for the rest, right? So, I'm off to the Biodiversity Park. I hope everybody's still awake, because this is the fun part. Just by adding green, we're not adding nature or biodiversity. And I'm an urban ecologist, so I wanted to add nature to my city. And we want to do this in 3 different ways. The first one is by monitoring or tracking our biodiversity. I will explain in the next slide. We also have a system which makes it compulsory to build with nature. And we are developing quantifying needs for species to also, in the discussion with norms, prevent that we have a lot of urban development plans which are about greenwashing. And then I have some other nice examples for biodiversity to round up. So, monitoring. We selected 30 species for the city of Utrecht. Our telephone net number is 030, so that's why 30 species. I don't know if everybody has a net number which starts with 312, but then maybe don't take 312. We have 30, and there are different species. They're for different habitats we have in our city, and they're all indicative. So they're on the top of the food pyramid. So if we do something at the bottom of the food pyramid which is wrong, we will end up with nothing at the top of the food pyramid. And with these indicators, we follow the trends in populations. So are they declining, are they increasing, or are they stabilizing? But we also monitor the actions we do as a city. Because just the decline of a population is not very good news. But if you're not doing much as a city as well, then you're at fault, in my perspective. If you're at least doing something as a city, then it might still be climate change which affects the population decline, or other factors might be at risk, might be factored in. But as long as you're, as a city, doing what you need to do to make the populations grow, at least you're trying to, right? So this is the way we are monitoring this, and we are reporting on this in the duurzaamheidsverslag. This is a monitor which we report on each year, but we're not reporting on all 30 species each year, because that would just be too expensive and time-consuming. We also want to do things. But it will be an honest, objective way to see how we are doing with our biodiversity in the city. And that's also, I think, what our politicians need and what our citizens require. Okay, the other thing we have in Utrecht is that it's compulsory that you build for nature. This is only for the projects we have tendered because we have ownership of the grounds. So all the places where we don't have ownership, we don't have anything to say. We just smile very nicely and ask politely whether they would please, please, please also build with nature. But the grounds we have in our own ownership is compulsory, and the feedback we get back from urban developers is that it's very easy to do. In the beginning, we only asked for nesting boxes and bed boxes. And it's just a small behavioral change. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's just a different way of working. And they said, oh yeah, we did it once. We can do it again. It's no problem. Doesn't matter if it's compulsory or not. People are very enthusiastic about it. So we're doing it anyway. So make it compulsory, no problem. So this is a big step for our council because they made it compulsory. And I think politically it's very, very wise. But also revolutionary to make it compulsory. And we're now broadening it also to hedges, for instance, for the house sparrow. Because you can make nesting boxes for the house sparrow, but if you don't have hedges or trees or gardens, it's useless. So this is very nice, and I'm very proud that my city council decided to do this. Okay, the last example is that we're quantifying species need. We have a lot of urban developments in Utrecht, and of course at the beginning everybody says, yes, we want nature, of course we want nature. But in the end, it's, in my opinion, a bit of greenwashing. Of course they have a hedge for the house sparrow, and they added 5 nesting boxes, where in the beginning they were very keen on doing a lot. In the end, when all the competition with other budgets and other norms are at stake, they never choose nature. So by quantifying the needs for species, we make it more clear what they're deciding, and also in the beginning what they're saying yes to or what they're aiming for. So I brought to you the example of the house sparrow. I think that's very common in Ireland as well, right? Okay. So in the beginning of your urban development, if you say, yes, we want house sparrows in our development, I can now say, okay, if you aim to say yes to the house sparrow, that means that you will add a minimum of 30 nesting boxes per hectare of your plan. It also means that you're at 100 square meters vertical green in your plan. And you're not only doing this for the plan, but you're also making sure there are feeding spots. So gardens or parks or small places where house sparrows can find insects and seeds. And these need to be 50 meters at most from the nesting site, so that it's easy reachable for the house sparrow. And a house sparrow also likes to take a sandy bath, sanding bait, make his feathers clean of insects with sand. So these things should also be added. And this is a way that the urban developer can measure its own plan against the needs of the house sparrow. And maybe if he doesn't meet them, it might not be a problem, but then as an urban ecologist, I will say your plan still looks fabulous. It's just not fit for the house sparrow. Hopefully it will be fit for some wild bees or something like that, but for the house sparrow you just don't do enough. So in this way I prevent the greenwashing which I have seen all around me. And this I think is very interesting in Ireland as well, because I don't think the house sparrow in Ireland is very different than the house sparrow in the Netherlands, but maybe it is. Do let me know if that's the case. So in my presentation I have a lot of links at the bottom of them, so you can look through them when you're at home. And if you have insights on them, I'm happy to hear them. Okay, so now I'm off to some inspirational projects and then I'm done. Still have time? Yes. So last week we opened the treetop walkway. It's in the new district of Leidse Rijn. It's the neighborhood of Rijnvliet, and it won a prize because it's most edible housing area. So there are a lot of fruit trees and vegetable gardens there. And near the school they made a treetop walkway. It walks through all the fruit trees, and in the future the trees will be large enough. It's our apple trees, cherry trees, pear trees. So the children can pick fruit from the treetop and eat it, of course. Now the trees are still a bit small, they need a bit of growing still. But it's a very nice way to make the interaction with nature very fun and nice to do for children. The other multifunctional green item we have is the green roof bus shelters. They went viral 3 years ago, and they're not really very biodiversity rich. They're nice for bumblebees, they're nice for honeybees. We monitored the roofs for the first year, and in the second year we added some indigenous plants to a number of green roofs, just to add the value for the wild bees who need it more than the honeybees. So we're improving our biodiversity efforts as well. And it might be nice to say that we got the green roof bus shelters because we did a very smart procurement where we also added biodiversity in the competition. So you could win points for being a biodiverse bus shelter. And this was what came out. So it was a big success. We're still very proud of it. Maybe the biodiversity aspect is under construction. Okay, I'm not going to talk much about the tiny forest because I understood there will be a lady tomorrow who can tell a lot more about tiny forest. But I do want to say we have 10 tiny forests within our city. They're in combination made with schools, so students from the schools, they maintain the tiny forest, they get educational lessons there, and they can play and seek insects and watch birds there. And it's a huge success. People enjoy them a lot, at least the children do a lot. We're also greening the existing city, so we greened a paved park into a green park, and the residents enjoy it a lot. And they usually participate also in these plans. We make sure that they do because it's near their front door, so if you're changing there something, you need their permission or enthusiasm. We're also trying to green our inner city. The Moreelsebrug is a small beginning. It's a bridge crossing the railway station with trees on it. It's one species of tree, so it's not very biodiversity rich. But it opens up the beginning of more bridges with more trees and hopefully more grass and heathland. But that's my dream. And we're now building Wonder Woods. That's a two-building project where the inspiration came from a natural area outside of the city. They tried to copy the Park Utrechtse Heuvelrug onto the building. So the trees which can be found in this natural area, they also are planting on this building on the outside. And on the 7th floor, there will be a publicly open park, so to speak, with a restaurant where all people can recreate or do the yoga or have events. And the other building will have a lot of trees inside the building, so they're very, there's a high contrast between the buildings. I hope there won't be flying too many birds towards the other building, but we're trying to prevent that in any case. And the last example I have is on wild bees. We won a Wild Bees Friendliest City Award in 2019, and it came with a sum of money, and we invested the money in a brochure how to build a bee burrow. So in Holland, 80% of the wild bees are ground nesting bees. And of course, a lot of people are hanging up bee hotels in wood, but it only serves 20% of the bees, and the 80% we neglect. So with bee burrows, we try to get more attention for the ground nesting bees, and we also get more room for the ground nesting bees. And the instruction again is on the website. It's in Dutch, but with DeepL you can translate it very easy. So, and there's a big pollinator initiative. Maybe they can translate it as well. I don't mind being copied or cited or whatever. Just bring it further. That's what I wish. Oh, sorry. This was the last one. One main topic I do want to add is building a community. We need it very desperately, but we start by raising awareness on nature in our city. We invented the doorbell. It's an underwater camera which you can monitor, and then you can see fish swimming in our canals near the locks. And if there's a fish swimming, you can ring the bell, and then the lockkeeper opens the lock. This was developed during COVID, when we had little recreational boats through our locks. So in this way, we try to keep the locks open for fish. But my main topic would be make as much biodiversity visible as you can by using social media. So start an Instagram, start a Twitter account, do whatever it needs to make your people see what you have on biodiversity in your city, and especially make your council see, because they make all the decisions. As long as they're aware what they're gaining or losing by plants, I think you have a big win there. Yes, this was the last one. Sorry. Okay.